Okay, so now that we have an understanding of what a psychopath really is and who a psychopath or sociopath is, now that we understand antisocial personality disorder, which I covered in the prior video, now we'll talk about how these people choose a partner or a mate, right? And this is a real process, and I want you to understand this. Psychopaths and sociopaths do not choose their partners by accident. It's not based on, fluke attraction. It's not based on physical attraction. It's not based on mental or emotional attraction. A psychopath or a sociopath, their attraction is based on who they can take advantage of. And they are truly predators, and they test out the way that they operate. They test it out in order to find the perfect victim, right? And that's part of what you see when you see a psychopath or a sociopath in action early on. So one of the things that they do when they meet someone new, and again, they're always looking for their next victim, is they test that person pretty early on, right? They may go up to them and tell them a really sad story about their abusive childhood where they were mistreated. They may go up and tell them about some loss that they've had in their life, something really hard that they've just gone through. And they want to measure that potential partner's reaction to see if this indeed can be good prey, right? Because good prey is empathic, good prey is kind, good prey cares deeply about others. So if you're in a dating scene or somewhere, you're in a lounge or you're meeting someone from online for the first time in a public area, cafe, whatever scene it is that you go to meet people, if you are there and someone comes up to you and you're in an early discussion and they start telling you about something really painful that they went through, let that be a red flag. Most healthy people do not come up to someone and tell you their deepest, darkest pain, their most horrific fear, something traumatic they went through in their childhood. That's just not a normal way to operate. So if they come up to you and tell you about how they went through this really hard time, now they're just trying to blah, 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 let that be a red flag. They're testing you out to see if you're going to be a good piece of prey for them. They're testing your empathy. Don't give it to them. And let that be a red flag, and let that be something that tells you, you know what, keep moving. Another thing that they do is when they're early on in the relationship with you, within the first, say, several weeks, I'd say 0 to 3 months, you'll see them in some way violate your boundaries as a partner. You'll see them violate their partner's boundaries if you're working with them from a therapist standpoint. What they'll do is they'll do something like either emotionally, sexually, verbally violate boundaries that you've set, right? So if it's emotionally, they'll do something that really is painful to you and hurtful and not okay. They'll do something that's really just going to really shake you, and you may not think that it's a big deal. You may try to minimize it and say, oh, they didn't mean it that way. And that might be what they tell you. I didn't mean it that way. Let that be a red flag for you, okay? If they're going to do something sexual, they may do something sexual with you that you did not agree to during a sex act or in some other way. Do something that doesn't make you feel okay, that feels inappropriate, that feels wrong to you, that you just don't want to do. They're testing out whether or not you're someone who, when your boundary is violated, will you suddenly end the relationship, or will you be able to work through it emotionally and say, oh, they didn't mean to do that. Will you take their excuse and their apologies or not? So pay attention for those two things, right, with your clients. And if you're a therapist, guess what? You're at a higher risk of being violated by a psychopath or sociopath yourself, because you have those traits of empathy, kindness, and all the good things that they look for. So be aware. And again, please continue to take good care of yourself. If you have questions about mental health or mental illness, please feel free to go ahead and shoot me a message. You can reach me at Amira at phenomenalprivatepracticewithamira.com. Thank you.